from your listening device all the way into your agent's psyche. It's Real Estate Between the Lines with Brian Lee. Teaching you things you didn't know you needed to know to help you become a legendary agent and turn your clients into raving fans.
Welcome to Real Estate Between the Lines. I'm your host, Brian Lee. I'm all about helping the real estate industry improve one agent at a time. Welcome, everybody. Hope you're excited for this. We've got episode 28, Appraisers Are the Devil, part 3. We're finishing up this thing. And with me, to tolerate me and my devilish behavior, is my angelic, I should use the air quotes, angelic wife, Cate.
Yes.
Wait, there we go.
There we go. There's Cate. There she is on the screen. There she, oh, look at her.
Yeah, versus Brian. Get the horn.
And then we have Christian. Christian's with us too.
Oh yeah,
Where's
I'm
Christian?
wearing horns today.
He's got horns too, so he's on the devilish side. Devilishly handsome gentleman that we are. Such a burden that we have to carry.
Somebody's got to do it, Brian.
Goodness.
Why
do I do this to myself?
It's a good question.
I don't know.
You come back for more. I mean, we've already done parts 1
I
and 2.
live with you too.
You have to be with part 3.
You don't live with you too. You live with you too.
Comma
Right.
T-O-O.
Not both of us.
That's
Just
Well, I
want
was
to be clear.
thinking it was like a Bono
I was
thing.
thinking it was the band.
Bono?
Yeah. Which way
We're
are we
like
going?
all over the place. It's you two. It's you two. Or is it you two? It's like the there, and there.
Well, she said I live with you too, and I was like, no, you don't.
That's true. I don't.
So is that TWO? Is that TOO or
T-O-O,
TO?
comma T-O-O.
Live with you two? TWO,
No.
comma 2, TOO?
Oh my
We're off to a roaring start here. aren't we?
We're lost. Anyway, getting back into this thing, we're in part 3, finishing up this conversation about appraisers. And are they truly the devil? But if I haven't convinced you yet that appraisers are not the devil, at the end of this episode, I will have you on the side that we actually have our horns. We've gained our wings and we're flying up to the heavenly gates of appraisal and valuation. Pearly gates. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. The weekly episode. Or the song for this weekly episode to get you going is it's What You Value as the song. It's What You Value by George Harrison. It's from the album 33 1/3, released in May of 1977. Track 6, length is 5 minutes and 7 seconds.
We're adding song cam here. You got to hold that.
Song cam?
We're doing it mobile. Okay,
Ooh.
ready? Go. Talk about the song.
Okay, so we are on It's What You Value.
George Harrison, it's what you value.
It's What You Value. I actually don't even know this song. I had to do some research on it. Somebody told me about it. So the Beatles brought so much value to music and so much value to anyone that owns their original white album. And just kind of the point that, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Hey, everybody, look at that. Check out the timer and the notes. Anyway, moving on.
Okay, I'm going back to your shot.
Yeah, we're going back to the shot.
We lost it there.
So the Beatles brought so much value to music, so much value to anyone that owns their original white album. Did you know, a little bit of information for you, that copy 1 of the white album sold in December of 2015 of the Beatles album for $790,000 for one copy of that thing. So it's just
Was it a test pressing or just number 1?
they call it copy. This is the
Wow.
copy from Google. It's 0000001. 6 zeros and then 1. So that's what it.
Well, Mr.
700,000?
$790,000 for that. Sold just 5 short years ago. Actually, 4.5.
I bet it's gone up in value.
So, Mr. Appraiser, do you think it's worth that?
Well, we have to look at the comparables first, don't we? Did we put the?
How do you find a comparable for that?
Well, finding the
Copy
comparable
number
and
2?
putting it on a grid. I mean, putting on what kind of an adjustment do you make for the White Album versus, for example, the first pressing of Thriller? I mean, Michael Jackson, his Thriller album is very commonly known to be one of the top selling albums of all time.
I'd take
How are you going to
Thriller.
use that as a comparable? I don't know.
I'd take it all day long. I would
would
pay
too.
for
I
Thriller.
I wonder if Jim Irsay bought it because he buys a lot of that
He does
stuff.
buy
He's
a lot
got
of
Ringo's
that
drum
stuff.
set.
What's he do with it? Does he have just like a basement full of stuff?
Yeah, he's got a bunch of like Beatles stuff.
That's cool.
Well, when you're a billionaire,
Yeah.
what else are you going to do?
When are you going to make us a billionaire, honey?
I'm trying to get this podcast on track so that way we can get there.
We're almost there.
Yeah. Just one more part. We have part 3 and then we're there.
900 million to go. 999 million to go.
Exactly. So this is part 3, how to prepare for the appraisal and more successfully challenge an appraisal. So this kind of helps you today as the agent. We've talked about in previous episodes. In part 1, we talked about working with the appraiser and some of the rules and guidelines that they're up against. Part 2, we got into writing your CMA, about pulling comparables, adjusting them, putting them on a grid and all that. Today we're talking about how to prepare for the appraisal and to more successfully challenge those in that occasion. So getting into this a little bit more, we talk about how would you prepare for an appraisal inspection. Again, I have a document that I've put out that many agents have liked about how to prepare for an appraisal inspection.
Put rose petals out. And
it is. It includes the you're taking my
rose
thunder.
Petals,
rose
and
petals
music and
have like
welcome appraiser.
The people that are fanning me as walking through there, the angelic sounds like
absolutely.
You're getting carried in on a chair, right?
Exactly. It's just,
But the men carrying
make sure I have
it.
the mental image.
make sure I have the grapes too. Don't forget the grapes, but only the red grapes. I don't want the green ones, unless they're the cotton candy grapes. Oh my gosh, those are delicious. I will take those or the red grapes. Sorry, it's just me being very particular.
Okay.
I feel like I'm a diva now. Is it wrong of me to do
You
that?
feel like you're a
Do you
diva?
have my green peanut M&Ms?
Oh, who's the diva now? Christian?
So you want to have your home showing ready. Have the homes cleaned. Dirty homes can cause problems for you. They can impact the value. Make sure we have access to all areas of the home, the attics, the crawl spaces, that they're not blocked. If they're locked, make sure they're unlocked. We don't bring tools. We don't have the keys to your parked vehicles in the garage when we need to. Leave a ladder for access to the properties. Make sure that the utilities are on. And this is one that some appraisers feel differently about this. Just generally speaking, there's a question that I always get is, should anybody be at the home? Should the agent be at the home? Should the homeowner be home? And typically speaking, I would say that most appraisers would say that they would prefer not to have anybody at the home. They are distractions. I can go through all kinds of issues that I've run into. They can open up their mouths, talk about things that maybe you wouldn't want them to get into. So there's just a lot of stuff there that can really cause a problem for you for being there. And again, some appraisers even take it as an affront. Even though you might be trying to be friendly, the homeowner might be friendly, there are just some appraisers out there that just look at it like, oh great, there's somebody trying to push their value, trying to push their number. And even though you might legitimately not be doing that, you just might be there just to be nice, it still comes off that way to the appraiser. So generally speaking, I would say that when you're preparing for that appraisal inspection, don't have anybody there.
Absolutely. And I would say too, I have a checklist or an email with a checklist of things to remind a seller of how to best prepare. So if anybody would be interested in that, let me know. But in essence, kind of reminding them, make sure the utilities are on, make sure they have access. I think the car in the garage is a really important one that most people don't think about. If the attic access is in the garage, got to back that car out. So little things like that, crawl space openings. So I try to remind everybody of that just in a quick little to-do list for the sellers to go through. And if you have a seller that wants to stay home, sometimes it's a nice way to say, hey, it'd be better if you're not there, but if you are there, just stay out of the appraiser's way, because most appraisers have a routine that they go through. And if you can step aside or even take a walk or just go for a quick drive, 15, 20 minutes, just step out of their way. It's going to be easier overall.
Yep. So just Cate mentioned we have that thing. We'd be happy to send it to you. Just something that you can use to help you prepare for the appraisal. And like you just said, is that just even having that for the client, the homeowner, to let them know, because it's one thing for the agent to say it. Hey seller, when the appraiser comes by, here's the checklist, and don't forget to do this. It's another thing to say, here's a document, here's a piece of paper. Make sure you're preparing for all of it. Unlock this. Open that and all that kind of thing.
Exactly.
The other thing that I suggest, and this we'll get into a breakout video, we'll get a little bit more into it, is to leave an appraisal packet. This is something that so many agents lose sight of and don't do. And so one of the things that we got into in the last episode was being proactive, not being reactive to this. That most of the time the agent just waits for the appraisal to come in. They don't like the results, and then they try to enact a change. Instead of, let's do it beforehand. Let's do it before that appraisal's been written, before it's been sent to the lender. So in that, let's get them some information. But more importantly, let's get some very specific information. It is not, agents, hear me, please. It is not just comparables. I can't tell you how many times that when agents do leave me something, it's just comparables. Here's 3 comps that we used, and that's it. That's it. Just here are the comps that I used. And it gives me no information. We have comps too, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be jerky here, but we have an MLS too. So we have the comps. We don't need comps unless you just know of something that isn't publicly available, that there was something that the MLS doesn't have. It would, for whatever reason, it's not available. If you have that, then maybe it's helpful. But don't provide comps. Instead, what you want to do is have an adjustment grid with comparables on it. So it's providing the comps, but not just giving me the MLS sheets. What you're doing is that you're putting it on a grid. You're putting it on a grid. You're adjusting it, just like we said in part 2 of this series, is getting it on the grid, showing them that here are the comps I used, here they are graded out, and here are the adjustments. And this is why I think my number is where it is. We sold this home for $200,000. Here's 3 comps that I felt supported that. Here they are on the grid. I've adjusted them. This is why I think it gives you a legitimate response to I think it is, instead of here's 3 comps that hopefully get that $200,000 number.
Exactly. So I think, and having that packet of information out up front, like you said, is going to prevent issues down the road. It's easier to have that up front than it is to try to fix it in the end.
Absolutely. Other things you can include in that packet on again with the adjustment grid is to have a list of updates. If you have those are always very helpful. It's going to be something that's going to help me again have more data, be able to help me sell this appraisal report to the underwriter, that I can show that look at all the stuff that they've done. It's going to help me sell it better. And again, also just providing that explanation, just describing that here are the adjustments, here are the updates, here are all the things that I've done, here are the comps I picked, and here's why I chose them. Explain all this thing.
What about cookies?
Cookies are fine. Cookies work for me. I'm not a big chocolate eater, as you know, so chocolate chip cookies might get it there. I'll tell you what helps a lot. I'll tell you, there's a direct correlation. This is scientific here, guys. You ready for this?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The size of the Captain Morgan bottle that you leave on the counter will be directly proportionate to the value. So if you leave me one of those little airplane bottles of Captain Morgan and all that, your value is going to be very low.
But better than none, right?
Better than none.
Yeah.
It's not bad, but you give me that big 1.5 gallon jar, you get a special bottle made. Let's go 5 like a 5 gallon barrel. Let's bring up the whole vat. From the Captain
barrel.
Morgan, rolling it in. But that's going to help you a lot more. I'm just kidding. Do not leave alcohol. Leave alcohol, but don't expect that it's going to change your value. So that's going to get you a lot further along with me.
Yeah.
So chocolate chip cookies are nice. So I won't take it away, but definitely though.
But it's not going to affect your value, of course.
So
I would just say, though, guys, keep in mind that, again, as most people don't think, but appraisers are human.
Yes, we are. We got it on tape even. Or I just said tape. It's digital now.
It's okay. It's tape.
We're old.
Yeah, I'm doing it on tape.
Is a reel on the back?
I thought I saw the reel-to-reel in the back.
Tape machine. Yeah.
Next to the 8-track.
But try to remember appraisers are human. And so again, I remind my sellers to make the home, of course, as welcoming, warm, nice and clean. Boxes in the room is not a big deal. Appraisers can look past that. But if you've presented your home well so that it looks like, hey, come on over. We understand that you're here to determine our value. A better presented home, not only in cleanliness, but also making the areas accessible. If you make it an easy appraisal for this, a process for the appraiser, then the better the feeling that the appraiser is going to have when they leave your home, the better the feeling that he or she has when they leave your home. There's a better chance of them swinging adjustments in your favor.
Absolutely. If we leave that place happy, it's going to bode well for you. It's just I walk out of there with a positive experience. Again, a nice bottle of alcohol or whatever. Just
cookies,
I leave there
though,
happy.
Cookies prevent hangriness.
Okay. Anyway.
Just saying.
Alcohol. Don't listen to her, guys. I'm the appraiser. She doesn't know what she's talking about. But anyway, if we leave unhappy, it's not going to bode well. I mean, it was kind of a joke, but I got bit by a dog about a year ago. I didn't leave that house with a very positive image. I think the value still came in okay, but I did not leave, hey, this is a great house. I'm so glad I came out today. So again, just situations like that.
Exactly. I have a little appraisal story, though.
You do? I can't wait to hear it. What is it?
Side note tangent.
We're picking up. We were getting ready to move on to the next. Go ahead. Wait.
Side note tangent.
It's a side note note tangent with Cate.
So back in the day, I had a buyer who wrote an offer on a very unique property. We all felt that the listing price was very high. I'm going to try and keep it as generic as possible, but it was listed by a builder who renovated a house, and it was on a lot of acreage. Very unique. The house was kind of a basic house, So I think the builder thought the value was there in the land. Well, I'm not big and familiar with agricultural property and all that. So my client and I discussed, and we wanted to pay for an appraisal before we wrote an offer on the home. So who did I call?
The awesome and amazing Super B, that we've heard so much about lately. Yes,
the best appraiser in town, Brian Seeley.
Oh.
Yes.
Thank you.
He spent some time pulling comparables, all that good stuff. So he calls me, and this was before we really knew each other.
Let's say conflict of interest is what I was thinking.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I should say that. This was before we weren't even really friends at this point.
The carnal knowledge.
Oh my God.
Oh, jeez. Anyway, you didn't know Brian yet.
I didn't. I just knew him as a good appraiser in the area. That's it. So
good old days.
He calls me and he's like, I have absolutely no idea how to value this home. How much do you think it's worth?
Wow.
I did not say that.
Yes, you did.
There is no way I would have said that.
You did.
She is totally making up stories right now.
So, well, and to be fair, I mean, the listing price was absurd.
Maybe it was more along the lines of, I have no idea where you came up with your number.
I didn't have a number. It was the listing agent. I was representing the buyer.
Well, whatever.
We thought it was overpriced.
How long is this side note tangent going to go on?
Now I'm kind of enraged. Now I'm kind of like there's no way. It's impossible for me to even acknowledge the fact that I would have said, I don't know how to do this. No, you know me. I would not have said that.
Hold up. So we put our heads together. Brian did his homework. I did my homework. He did way more homework than I did, I'll say that. And came up with a very fair price that made my client happy. Really didn't make the seller happy, but I really didn't care at this point because it sold the house. So bye-bye seller. But so my client got a great price on the house. All because of your knowledge.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And it wasn't because I didn't know what to do.
You straight up said,
I don't know where this other person came up with their number. That had to be what I said.
Sounds like love at first sight to me.
And from there, the sparks flew. And look at where we are today.
Where are we? We're in a podcast studio.
Thank goodness.
We're picking up speed. Things are going to be great. Wait.
Side note tangent.
It's a side note tangent with Cate.
Well, Brian, can you tell us how to more successfully challenge an appraisal?
Thank you for that side note tangent.
Exactly. I'll get you back on track.
Yeah.
You seem irritated now.
Welcome to how it is always.
Just leaving the inspection irritated. Value's going down by the day.
This podcast is done. I'm done. I'm out.
We need Super B to close the show.
Where is that guy?
Where's Super B? Super B!
Come back.
He's in Hawaii.
Lucky devil.
He can come back.
So yes, how to more successfully challenge an appraisal. I want to be clear on that word more. I'm not saying that how you're going to always challenge an appraisal and get good results, but you're going to get better results more often. Not all the time, but more often. So if you listen to parts 1 and 2 of our episodes, we kind of got into the things that are important. When you should talk to the appraiser, that talking to them after the fact is the worst time that you can talk to them. Make sure that you're getting ahead of it. Talk to them while the data collection is going on. That's going to be the best thing. So that way you can not even have to challenge the appraisal. I'm getting ahead of it and taking care of it. That after the fact, it's too late, that you're only going to deal with factual issues. You're not going to change the numbers. Make sure that we're comparing apples to apples. So again, if you've done your job on pulling comparables, putting them on a grid, adjusting them and all that, then you're going to see, are we looking at the same thing? I can't tell you how many times that I've looked at comparables or looked at what the agent did. And my square footage was 2,000 square foot, and they adjusted, or they had it set at 2,200 square foot or 2,300, something larger. So we weren't even making an apples to apples comparison. At that point, it doesn't matter what comps I'm using. It doesn't matter if I put it on a grid. If I think it's 2,000, you think it's 2,300, we have a problem already right there. That's just going to immediately cause a problem.
Well,
so
and who's right, an appraiser or the assessor?
The better answer to that is B right, and the answer is yes. If it's B, then it's always right. But most of the time it should be the appraiser, but it's a great question. As much as I want to tease, it is a great question because not all appraisers are equal. I have seen a lot of very poor appraisers that don't measure the property, that they use information that they shouldn't, that they are doing it just flat out wrong, in my opinion and in the opinion of most people. So I would hesitate to say that you should trust the appraiser, but most of the time, that's who I would defer to.
Yeah, because most of the time, the appraiser should be sketching the property. They're actually walking the property, where the assessor is not. So keep that in mind. If you're listing a home and you just use assessor data for the square footage, very, very highly likelihood that it might not be correct. So.
Yep. Absolutely. So make sure you're comparing the apples to apples. Look at the comps. Again, you may have a comp that's across the street. Maybe get ahead of that and say that comp across the street isn't a good comp appraiser. I know you're going to see it. I know it's sold out there, but it was a divorce situation. It's a bad condition that the MLS pictures do not show what that home actually looked like, or it shows that it has more square footage than it actually has. So getting ahead of that. But then also, again, the comps that you pick, are they similar to what the appraiser would have chosen as well? So include those in your appraisal packet, and again, explain why you've done what you've done. Make sure that you're talking about that this is why I picked it and this is why I don't like this or not. Maybe the appraiser did pick that comp, and it's just something that you can work through with them and explain to them and give them a better picture of what that looks like.
Yeah, and in a world like today is a crazy seller's market. There are homes that are selling in less than 24 hours, getting multiple offers. If this is the case, be sure to prepare both your buyer and your seller. So if you're representing a buyer and they want to offer above list price, they need to be prepared. If appraisal doesn't come in, if they're not comparables to support the price that they are offering, are they prepared to maybe come up with a difference in additional down payment? If they are, maybe you write that in the offer. That may make your offer a little stronger. The other thing to consider is that price isn't the only factor for sellers. So maybe you're giving additional possession or, making your offer as clean as can be. So that way you don't get into appraisal issues. You can give a fair price for the home, but you're negotiating with other things there. And again, if you're representing the seller and you happen to receive a few offers that are well above list price, still doesn't mean it's going to appraise. You have to somehow be able to show value to the appraiser. And if you can't do that, is it really worth accepting the offer that's $15,000 over list price if the buyer's not willing to come up with the difference? Maybe not. So maybe we look at some other things in the offer and negotiate on that instead. Price is not everything, especially when it's not guaranteed.
Yeah, the great, again, you hit the nail on the head. Just prepare for those things, knowing that some of the things that happen out there are just crazy, what people are doing. And multiple offer situations certainly have promoted some of that. So that's a great thing. Absolutely. Just prepare for that. So the quote for the podcast this week comes from yours truly. It is, "There are some things money can't buy, like manners, morals, integrity, and professionalism. The value to yourself, your clients, and your business is in your manners, your morals, integrity, and professionalism. Be the professional and your business will thrive." So make sure that you are working through these things, that you are finding ways to work with the appraiser, know when to talk with them, get them good information, do it at the right time, challenge the appraisals in the correct way, be the professional. That way you're getting ahead of these issues, taking care of your clients, preparing them for those situations. Be the professional. Add value in that way, and you're going to get better results. So in closing, set yourself up for success on your next appraisal. Prepare for the appraisal. Again, get the home ready. Leave solid data. Leave it ready for them. Hopefully the appraiser will leave with a good feeling about the house. When you're challenging low appraisals, provide solid evidence. Know when the best time to talk to the appraiser is. Make sure that we're making those apples to apples comparison. Look to see, are we on the same page with all this? Don't forget to leave the bottle of Captain Morgan on the counter.
With a bow.
With a bow, of course. No chocolate chip cookies, unless they're in addition to the Captain Morgan.
Yes, both.
So hopefully that helps you a little bit. Prepare for those appraisals, guys. Don't just wait for it to happen. So we hope that you enjoyed this 3-part episode series. We have so much more that we can share, but that's all we could cram into this right now. So we'll have future episodes talking about appraisal, and we'll bring in some appraisers in here. But hopefully you enjoyed that and got some information out of it. So we love your feedback. Again, if you want to email us for those appraisal documents that we've talked about, I do have that grid started. We do have preparing for an appraisal. I've got some stuff I'd be happy to send to you. Feel free to email me at brian@brianclee.com for those. Visit us on our website at brianclee.com. Thank you for joining us today. Take care, guys. Provide value to your clients. Be good. Treat them well, and they will send you great business. Be legendary.
You've been listening to Real Estate Between the Lines with Brian Lee. If you'd like to learn more about becoming a legendary agent, be sure to visit us at brianclee.com and sign up to hear about upcoming workshops and events. Now go out there and turn your clients into raving fans.